I love you, he texted our wedding photographer. What I thought was an affair turned out to be a 30-year-old family secret that would destroy everything. I found something on my fiancé's laptop and I don't know what to think. Throw away because people know my main. I'm sorry if this is all over the place. I'm typing this at 2 a.m. and my hands are shaking. My fiancé Jake and I have been together for 4 years, engaged for 6 months. We're getting married in October and honestly everything has been perfect. He's my best friend, we never fight, we communicate well. I genuinely thought I'd hit the jackpot with this man. Tonight he left his laptop open when he went to take a shower. His sister texted him, the preview popped up on screen, asking if he'd talked to Emma yet about the you-know-what. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear, but Emma is our wedding photographer. We just had our engagement shoot with her 2 weeks ago. Jake said he'd handle emailing her about the timeline and shot list, but when I asked him about it yesterday, he got weirdly defensive and said he'd get to it. So when I saw his sister's text mention Emma, I thought maybe there was an issue with the photos or something. I opened his messages. I wish I hadn't. There were hundreds of messages between Jake and Emma going back 3 months. Not about photography. I'm talking good morning texts, inside jokes, him telling her about his day, her sending him songs. Nothing explicitly sexual or romantic, but it felt intimate in a way that made my stomach drop. The kind of constant communication you have with a partner, not a vendor. The worst part? In one message from last week, Emma wrote, I know this is complicated but I'm glad we're on the same page now. October will be here before we know it, smile, and Jake replied, I know. Trust me, I haven't forgotten. Love you. Love you. To our wedding photographer. I took photos of the messages with my phone because I felt crazy and needed proof I wasn't imagining things. Then I closed the laptop and pretended to be asleep when he came back to bed. He kissed my forehead and said, Love you, future Mrs. Chen, and I almost threw up. That was 4 hours ago. I haven't slept. I keep trying to rationalize it. Maybe they're just really friendly? Maybe he meant love you in a platonic way? But why would his sister be asking if he'd talked to Emma yet? Talked to her about what? Here's what I know. Emma is 26, single. Jake mentioned it when we first met her, said something about how she must be married to her job, and absolutely gorgeous. She and Jake went to the same college but didn't know each other there. He recognized her name when we were looking at photographers and reached out to her directly instead of going through the booking site. At the time I thought it was lucky we got someone he kind of knew. Now I'm wondering if there's a reason he wanted her specifically. I don't know what to do. Do I confront him? Do I message Emma? Do I wait and keep watching to see if there's more? I feel insane. Part of me wants to believe there's an innocent explanation, but that, I love you, keeps playing in my head. We have a tasting at our venue next Tuesday. My bachelorette party is in 3 weeks. The invitations already went out. My dress is being altered next month. I can't breathe thinking about canceling everything, but I also can't marry him if they're. I don't even know what they are. That's the worst part. I don't have concrete evidence of cheating, just this sick feeling and messages that feel wrong. What do I do? Am I overreacting? Please help. Edit. It's 3 a.m. now and I just thought of something. When we had our engagement shoot, Jake and Emma kept exchanging these looks I couldn't quite read. She'd pose us and he'd laugh at something she said and they had this energy. I told myself I was being insecure because she's so pretty and successful. Now I'm wondering if I should have trusted my gut. Update. I confronted my fiancé about the messages with our wedding photographer. Holy shit. I don't even know where to start. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. Special thanks to the people who told me to check his Venmo payment history. That ended up being important. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pretend everything was fine. Yesterday morning, Monday, Jake had an early meeting, and after he left I went through his laptop again. I know, but I needed to know what I was dealing with before I confronted him. I found their Instagram DMs. They've been talking since February. Before we even hired her. He reached out to her first, saying he came across her page and loved her work. But guys, we didn't start seriously looking at photographers until March. He contacted her a month before we were even venue shopping. Then I checked Venmo like someone suggested. Jake has sent Emma money 4 times. $200 in March. Memo. For the thing? $350 in April. Memo. Thank you for this. $180 in May. No memo. And $275 2 weeks ago. Memo. Almost there. I lost it. I called my best friend Simone sobbing and she came over immediately. We went through everything together. Simone was ready to murder him. She wanted me to pack a bag and leave before he got home, but I needed answers. He got home around 7 p.m. and knew something was wrong immediately. I was sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop open to the messages with Emma. Me. Who the fuck is Emma to you? His face went white. Not guilty white. Terrified white. He sat down and put his head in his hands and I swear to God I thought he was going to confess to an affair. Jake. Oh God. Okay. This isn't what you think. Me. Then tell me what it is because it looks like you're in love with our wedding photographer. Jake. I'm not in love with her. Emma is my cousin. I just stared at him. That made no sense. Me. Your cousin? You don't have a cousin named Emma. I've met your family. And then he told me the most insane story. Apparently, Emma is his cousin, his Aunt Rachel's daughter. Aunt Rachel, his dad's sister, got pregnant at 19 with a guy who wanted nothing to do with the baby. Jake's grandparents were very religious and very judgmental, and they basically forced Rachel to give the baby up for adoption. This was 1998, and the adoption was closed. Rachel was never the same after, according to Jake. She struggled with depression, never married, and the family just never talked about it. Rachel died of cancer 6 years ago. On her deathbed, she told Jake's dad that she'd always wondered about her daughter and regretted not fighting harder to keep her. She'd written letters over the years that she never sent. She had one photo from the hospital. After Rachel died, Jake's dad, feeling guilty, tried to find the daughter. He found out her adoptive parents had named her Emma. He got as far as confirming she was alive and living in our city, but he didn't reach out. He said it felt wrong to insert himself into her life when Rachel was gone. Fast forward to February. Jake's dad was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. While going through Rachel's things, which they'd kept in storage, they found more letters, photos, and records about the adoption. Jake's dad became obsessed with finding Emma before his memory deteriorated completely. He wanted to tell her about Rachel, give her the letters, let her know she came from love. But he was too scared to do it himself. So he asked Jake. Jake found Emma through the adoption records his dad had gathered. That's when he discovered she was a wedding photographer in our city. He looked at her website and showed me. She photographs a lot of emotional family moments, has a whole section about capturing the love you came from. He thought maybe on some level she was searching too. He reached out in February. Told her everything. She was shocked but wanted to know more. They started talking. He'd share stories about Rachel, show her photos, explain the family. That's what all those messages were. That's what the "I love you" was. They'd just spent months building this family connection and he does love her, as his cousin. The Venmo payments? Apparently Emma wanted to hire a genealogy service to confirm everything and learn more about Rachel's side of the family. Jake was helping her pay for it because he felt responsible for dropping this bomb on her life. His sisters text about talking to Emma about the you-know-what. They were planning to tell the whole family at our wedding. Emma was going to be introduced as part of the family, not just the photographer. October was supposed to be this big reunion moment. Me. Why the fuck didn't you tell me any of this? Jake. I wanted to. But Dad asked me not to tell anyone until Emma decided if she wanted to meet the family. He didn't want people pressuring her or making her feel obligated. And then you suggested we hire a photographer and I thought, maybe this could be perfect? She could meet everyone in a low-pressure way, as a vendor first? I know it sounds stupid now. Me. You let me think you were cheating on me. Jake. I wasn't thinking about how it looked. I was just trying to navigate this insane situation and give Emma space to process everything. We fought for another hour. I was crying, he was crying. I felt like an idiot for not just asking him, but also, how the fuck was I supposed to guess that? Finally I said I needed to talk to Emma myself. He called her right then, 10 p.m. at this point, and asked if she could come over. She lives 20 minutes away and said yes immediately. Emma got to our apartment at 10:40 p.m. wearing sweatpants and looking terrified. The first thing she said was, "I'm so sorry, I told Jake this was getting too complicated." Then she started crying and said she never meant to cause problems. She was just so grateful to learn about her birth mother and got caught up in getting to know her biological family. She showed me photos Jake had given her, pictures of Rachel as a young woman. Guys, Emma looks exactly like her. Same eyes, same smile, same dimple in her left cheek. It was eerie. She explained that being our photographer was her way of testing the waters with the family. She'd be at the wedding anyway, observing, and if she felt comfortable she'd reveal herself. If not, she'd just stay behind the camera. We talked until almost 1 a.m. By the end I believed them. The relief was overwhelming. He hadn't been cheating. But I was also angry and hurt that he'd kept this massive secret. Emma left around 1 a.m. Jake and I stayed up even later talking. He apologized over and over. I told him I understood why he kept the secret initially, but once we hired Emma he should have told me the truth. He agreed. It's now Tuesday evening. I've barely slept. I feel emotionally hungover. Jake has been amazing today. Brought me coffee in bed. Took the day off work to just be with me. Apologized another dozen times. But here's my new problem. I don't know if we should still have Emma as our photographer. Not because I don't trust them, I do now. But because this has become so much bigger than wedding photos. This is about a woman meeting her biological family for the first time. That's huge. That should be its own moment, not tied to our wedding day. Also, if the plan is to reveal Emma's identity to the family at the wedding, our wedding is going to become about that. Everyone's going to be focused on the long-lost cousin, not on us getting married. I don't want to be selfish, but it's supposed to be our day. And if we don't reveal it at the wedding, then Emma is photographing this huge family event while secretly being part of the family, and that feels weird too. I haven't told Jake this yet. I don't know how to bring it up without sounding like an asshole. Emma has already been through so much. But I'm stressed just thinking about the wedding now. Am I wrong to want to keep our wedding separate from the family reunion? How do I even have this conversation? Edit. Jake's sister just texted me asking if everything is okay. Jake must have told her I found out. I don't even know what to say to her. Edit 2. Some people are asking why I didn't recognize the family resemblance. I've only seen one photo of Rachel, from Jake's dad's 50th birthday party like 15 years ago. It was a group shot and grainy. I genuinely never made the connection. Update 2. The wedding photographer cousin situation has completely imploded. I need to just word vomit this entire nightmare because I'm losing my mind. After my last update, I talked to Jake about my concerns with Emma being our photographer. He understood and agreed it was getting too complicated. We decided to talk to Emma together about maybe switching photographers and letting her meet the family in a more intentional way. We met Emma for coffee last Friday. Before we could even bring up the photographer thing, she dropped a bomb. Emma, I need to tell you guys something. I've been talking to Richard. Richard is Jake's dad. She'd reached out to him directly 2 weeks ago. She wanted to hear about Rachel from him, not filtered through Jake's memories. They'd been emailing and then met in person once. According to Emma, Richard was amazing, warm, tearful, so happy to meet her. He gave her a box of Rachel's things he'd been keeping. Letters, jewelry, photos. Jake looked hurt that his dad hadn't mentioned it, but said he understood. Then Emma kept talking. Emma, Richard told me something. About why Rachel really gave me up. My stomach dropped. Jake went tense. Emma explained that according to Richard, Rachel didn't want to give her up. She wanted to keep the baby. But the baby's father, Emma's biological father, wasn't just some random guy who disappeared. He was married. He was a prominent member of their church community. And when he found out Rachel was pregnant, he and his wife threatened to destroy her reputation and claimed she was lying about paternity unless she gave the baby up quietly. Rachel was 19, broke, living with judgmental parents, and being threatened by a powerful family. She felt she had no choice. But here's the real bomb. Emma's biological father is Mark Strauss, Jake's godfather, a man who has been at every major Chen family event for 30-plus years. A man who we invited to our wedding. A man whose son, Adam, 28, is one of Jake's groomsmen. I actually gasped out loud in the coffee shop. Jake looked like he might pass out. Emma had done a DNA test through the genealogy service. It confirmed Richard Chen as her biological uncle, but it also pinged a half-sibling match. Adam Strauss. She'd already reached out to Adam, without telling us first. They'd met up. Adam was apparently shocked but believed her. The timeline matched up, and Emma looks somewhat like Mark's mother. She'd seen photos. Adam told her Mark has always been weird about Rachel's name being mentioned, and now he knew why. Emma wanted to confront Mark. Jake begged her not to. At least not yet, not before the wedding. It would blow up the entire family. Emma said she'd think about it. We left that coffee date in a daze. Jake tried calling his dad but Richard wasn't answering. We later found out he'd gone to visit his sister, Jake's Aunt Grace, to talk through the Emma situation and wasn't checking his phone. That was Friday. By Monday, everything went to hell. Emma confronted Mark Strauss. She went to his house Sunday evening and told him she knew he was her father. According to Emma, she called me Monday morning, hysterical. Mark completely denied it at first. Said Richard was lying, that Rachel had been troubled and promiscuous, that this was clearly a scam. Then his wife Carol came downstairs. She'd been listening from the top of the stairs. And Carol lost it. Apparently Carol knew. She'd known the entire time. She was the one who threatened Rachel back in 1998. She made Mark cut off all contact with Rachel and forbid him from ever acknowledging a child. She thought it was over and buried. Carol started screaming at Emma to get out. Mark was yelling at Carol to calm down. Emma was crying. Adam, who Emma had called to come with her for support, was yelling at his dad for lying his whole life. A neighbor called the cops for a noise disturbance. By the time the police arrived, Carol had locked herself in the bedroom. Adam wasn't speaking to either parent, and Mark was begging Emma not to ruin his life over a mistake from 30 years ago. The cops basically told everyone to separate for the night and sort it out when they'd calmed down. Adam has been staying at Emma's apartment since Sunday. He's texted Jake saying he can't be in the wedding anymore because he can't stand next to his dad while knowing he abandoned his daughter and lied for decades. Jake is devastated. Adam has been his best friend since they were 10. This was supposed to be one of his groomsmen. Richard, Jake's dad, is furious at Mark. They apparently had a huge confrontation Tuesday where Richard said Mark is dead to him for what he did to Rachel. Mark tried to defend himself saying he was protecting his family, and Richard punched him. Richard is 63 and just had knee surgery. He hurt his hand and has been icing it ever since. Mark and Carol are, obviously, no longer invited to the wedding. Which means Jake needs to tell his parents' entire friend circle why their long-standing friends aren't coming anymore, and it's going to come out that Mark fathered a secret child with Jake's dead aunt. Speaking of the wedding, I suggested we postpone. Jake doesn't want to. He says postponing lets Mark win, and gives in to the shame, and we should celebrate our family, including Emma, even more now. I think he's not thinking clearly because he's in crisis mode. Our families are imploding. Jake's mom is barely speaking to Richard because she's angry he kept the Emma thing secret. Jake's Aunt Grace is angry at Richard for stirring up the past. Richard is angry at Mark. Adam is angry at his parents. Emma is caught in the middle feeling guilty for everything. And me? I'm supposed to be planning the happiest day of my life while everyone around me is in crisis. My bachelorette party is this weekend and half the attendees are Jake's female cousins who are now processing this family drama. My bridal shower is in 3 weeks. We have 120 people coming to this wedding in 4 months and I don't even know who's still coming anymore. I asked Jake if we should go to couples counseling. He said yes. Our first session is Thursday. But honestly, I'm starting to wonder if we should just not get married. Not break up, but wait. Push it to next year when everything isn't so insane. The problem is I don't know how to say that without Jake thinking I'm abandoning him when his family needs us to show unity, his words. I'm so tired. I just wanted to marry my person and have a nice party with our families. Now our wedding has become the backdrop for a decades-old scandal and I don't know how to fix it. Tell me I'm not crazy for wanting to postpone? Edit. Jake just came home and said Emma told him she's decided to move back to Colorado, where her adoptive parents live. She said this has been too much too fast and she needs space from all of it. She's obviously not going to be our photographer now. Jake is heartbroken. He feels like he broke her life by telling her about Rachel. Edit 2. Adam just texted the groomsmen group chat saying, "Some of you are going to hear things about my family. It's true. I'm dealing with it. See you at the wedding if there still is one." Jake read it to me and then threw his phone across the room. I've never seen him like this. Update 3. Wedding postponed. Family chaos continues, and I found out something about Emma. I'm sorry it's been a month. I honestly didn't know if I'd update again because everything has been so overwhelming. I'm getting therapy now, started 2 weeks ago, and my therapist suggested writing might help me process, so here we are. First, we postponed the wedding. Not cancelled, postponed to May of next year. I told Jake I couldn't do it, that I needed our wedding to be about US, not about the collateral damage of a 30-year-old affair. He was resistant at first but after our third couples counseling session he agreed. We announced it 2 weeks ago. Most people were understanding. Some of his family was upset, but honestly, they can deal with it. The venue was surprisingly accommodating. We lost our deposit on the caterer but managed to rebook them for May. My dress alterations were postponed. We sent out an email announcement explaining there were unexpected family circumstances, and we'd send new dates soon. Some people definitely know the real reason, small family, word travels, but most just assume someone died or got sick. Now for the family update, which is still a complete mess. Mark and Carol Strauss are getting divorced. Carol filed 3 weeks ago. According to Adam, who Jake still talks to daily, Carol is absolutely vicious in the divorce proceedings. She's going after everything because she feels humiliated that the Rachel situation is now public knowledge in their social circle. Mark apparently tried to reconcile but Carol said living with the lie was one thing. Having it exposed and meeting the evidence face to face was another. Adam has completely cut off Mark. He's staying with Emma indefinitely while he figures out his living situation. He was living at home while saving for a down payment. From what Jake says, Adam and Emma have gotten really close. They talk constantly, compare baby photos, go through Rachel's letters together. They're processing having a sibling together and it sounds really healing for both of them. Richard, Jake's dad, is doing better with his Alzheimer's than expected. The doctors think stress was accelerating symptoms and now that the secret is out, he's actually been sharper. He and Emma have been meeting weekly. She calls him Uncle Richard now, which apparently makes him cry every time. He keeps saying he wishes Rachel could have known her. The extended Chen family is split. Half think Emma should be welcomed with open arms because none of this was her fault. The other half, including Aunt Grace, think Emma showing up destroyed the family peace, and should have just left well enough alone. There was a huge argument at a family dinner 2 weeks ago where Aunt Grace said Emma was capitalizing on tragedy, and Adam called Grace a bitter old bitch. It almost got physical. Jake and I didn't attend but heard about it from his sister. Now here's where things get complicated in a new way. Last week, I met up with Emma. Just the two of us, for lunch. I'd been wanting to talk to her separately from Jake because I felt like I never got to really know her outside of all the drama. We actually had a great time. She's warm and funny and artistic. We talked about photography, her life in Colorado before moving here, her adoptive parents, who she says are wonderful and supportive through all this. Toward the end of lunch, she thanked me for being so gracious about everything, and said she knew she'd complicated our lives. I told her it wasn't her fault, that she deserved to know where she came from. Then I asked her something that had been bothering me. Can I ask you something? When Jake first reached out to you in February, did you already know who he was? She got really quiet. Then she nodded. Emma, I found out 3 years ago. I did a DNA test just out of curiosity and it pinged a distant cousin match. one of Jake's second cousins on his mom's side who'd taken the same test. I started researching and eventually figured out the Chen connection. I found Richard Chen, found information about Rachel, pieced it together. Me. 3 years ago? Emma. I wasn't ready to reach out. I was still processing that I was adopted. My parents didn't tell me until I was 22 because they wanted to wait until I was mature enough. I felt betrayed by that. I wasn't ready for more family drama. But then I saw your engagement announcement on Jake's Instagram last January. She said seeing our engagement photos made her think about family and connections and time running out. She'd been following Jake's Instagram for a year at that point. From a Finsta, he never knew. She saw how much Jake loved his dad, posted about his family, talked about his Aunt Rachel who'd passed. When Jake reached out in February, Emma said she wasn't surprised. She'd actually been debating whether to reach out herself. She let him tell her everything she mostly already knew because she wanted to hear it from the family's perspective. She wanted to know if they felt guilty, if they'd looked for her, if Rachel had been happy. Me. But you became our photographer. You let us hire you. Emma. I know. I'm not proud of that part. When Jake suggested it, I should have said no. But I wanted to see the family in person. I wanted to observe everyone at the wedding, see what I was potentially walking into. And honestly, I was curious about you. Jake posted about you constantly. You seemed so happy together. Part of me wanted to see if it was real. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't angry exactly, but I felt manipulated? Even though I understood her reasoning. Emma. I never meant for things to go this far. I thought I'd photograph the wedding, meet a few people casually, and decide from there if I wanted to reach out officially. Then everything accelerated. Jake's dad got sick. Jake wanted to tell everyone at the wedding. I met Richard and felt this connection. I found out about Mark being my father. It spiraled. We talked for another hour. By the end, I did forgive her. How can you blame someone for wanting to know where they came from? But it's changed how I see the whole situation. It wasn't just Jake keeping secrets. Emma had been watching us, researching us, planning this for 3 years. I told Jake about this conversation last night. He was quiet for a long time, then said, I don't know how to feel about that. We're both still processing it. On a positive note, Jake and I are actually doing better now than we were before all this happened. The couple's counseling is helping. We're communicating more. We've had some really deep conversations about honesty, about family obligations, about boundaries. Our relationship feels stronger somehow, like we weathered a storm together. My bachelorette party happened. Simone refused to cancel it, said I deserved something good. It was small, just my closest friends. We rented a cabin, drank wine, went hiking. It was exactly what I needed. No family drama, just my people supporting me. We've hired a new photographer for May, someone with zero connection to any of our families. Emma sent us a long email apologizing and refunding the deposit Jake had paid her, plus money for emotional damages, her words. We didn't ask for it, but she insisted. I don't know where things go from here. The family is still fractured. Mark is apparently dating someone new already, according to Adam, who's disgusted by it. Carol is thriving in her divorce revenge era. Again, Adam's words. Emma is seeing a therapist to process everything. Richard is making a scrapbook for Emma with stories and photos of Rachel. And Jake and I are planning a May wedding that will hopefully be drama-free. But honestly, after everything, I'm just grateful we're still together. This could have destroyed us. Instead, it somehow made us stronger. I'll update again if anything major happens, but hopefully the chaos is settling. Edit. Someone asked if Emma is still moving to Colorado. She's not anymore. She decided to stay because of her relationship with Adam and Richard. She got a therapy dog last week, a golden retriever named Rachel, which made Richard sob when he heard. Edit 2. Jake just told me Adam asked if he could bring Emma as his +1 to the wedding. Not as the photographer, as a guest. As his sister. Jake said yes without asking me, and now I don't know how I feel. I guess she's family now? This is so weird. Final update. We got married, Emma came as a guest, and I have some closure. Hi everyone. It's been 3 months since my last update and a lot has happened. I'm writing this from our honeymoon in Portugal, sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean while Jake naps off too much wine from lunch. I feel like I owe you all a final update since you've been on this wild journey with me. The wedding happened on May 17th. It was beautiful. It was drama-free. It was everything I hoped it would be. Planning the postponed wedding was surprisingly smooth. Having those extra 7 months gave everyone time to process the family drama and settle into new normals. By March, most of the chaos had died down to a manageable simmer. Emma did come as Adam's +1. I'll be honest, I was anxious about it leading up to the day. But Jake and I talked it through extensively in therapy, and we agreed that she is family now, whether or not we were ready for it. We set boundaries. She was coming as a guest, not the photographer. She would sit with Adam during the ceremony. We wouldn't be doing any kind of announcement about her identity. People who knew. People who didn't could just meet her as Adam's sister. It worked out better than I expected. Emma arrived wearing a beautiful sage green dress. She'd texted me a photo beforehand to make sure it was okay. Very considerate. She brought us a wedding gift that made me cry. A framed photo of Rachel from the 1990s, smiling at the camera. On the back, Rachel had written, "Someday I'll dance at your wedding," in faded ink. Emma said it was from a letter Rachel wrote to her as a baby before the adoption. Jake held it for 10 minutes and couldn't speak. During the ceremony, I looked out at our families and saw Emma sitting with Adam, Richard next to them with his hand on Emma's shoulder, and Jake's mom, who'd eventually come around, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. It felt right, like Rachel was there somehow. The reception was joyful. Emma kept to herself mostly, talking quietly with Adam and Richard, taking in everything. At one point I saw her laughing with Jake's sister and felt this overwhelming sense of completion? Like puzzle pieces finally fitting. Mark Strauss obviously didn't attend. We heard through the grapevine that he spent the weekend his son was at our wedding on a fishing trip with his new girlfriend. According to Adam, who I've gotten to know better these past months, Mark is in complete denial about everything. He's told people Emma is a girl claiming to be his daughter for money, and refuses to acknowledge her. Adam says he's given up trying to have a relationship with him. Carol Strauss, surprisingly, sent us a wedding gift. An expensive set of wine glasses with a card that just said, "Congratulations on your marriage." No signature. Adam said she's been going to therapy and is apparently trying to process her anger in healthier ways. I don't know if she'll ever reconcile with the situation, but the gift felt like an olive branch of sorts. The divorce between Mark and Carol finalized in April. Carol got the house and a significant settlement. Mark is living in a condo downtown and apparently miserable. I don't feel bad for him. Richard's Alzheimer's has stabilized with new medication and reduced stress. He walked Jake's mom down the aisle. They divorced when Jake was young but stayed friendly, and gave a toast at the reception about family, forgiveness, and second chances. He mentioned Rachel by name, said she would have loved today, loved me, loved seeing her daughter here with family. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Adam gave a groomsman speech that had everyone laughing and crying. He talked about growing up with Jake, about brotherhood meaning more than blood, and about gaining a sister this year who taught him, family is something you build, not just something you're born into. He raised his glass to Emma, and everyone cheered. For a moment, I was worried it would make the reception about the Chen family drama instead of about Jake and me. But it didn't feel that way. It felt like joy, like healing happening in real time. Emma approached me at the end of the night, slightly tipsy, and thanked me for letting her be there. She said, "I know I made your engagement insane. Thank you for not hating me for it. And congratulations, you two are really beautiful together." I hugged her, genuinely, warmly, and I meant it when I told her I was glad she came. Some other updates. Jake and I bought a house in March. We're moving in next month when we get back from the honeymoon. It has a guest room that Richard has already claimed for when he needs it. His memory is getting spottier, and eventually he might need more care. Emma and Adam have gotten incredibly close. They're talking about taking a trip to Colorado this summer to meet Emma's adoptive parents and for Adam to learn more about that side of her life. Watching them together is sweet. They have the same laugh, same hand gestures. Genetics are wild. Jake's relationship with his dad is stronger than ever. They meet for breakfast every Sunday. Richard tells stories about Rachel and their childhood before everything got complicated. Jake records them on his phone so Emma can hear them later. Aunt Grace still won't acknowledge Emma, but she came to the wedding and was civil. Baby steps. My relationship with Jake is genuinely stronger than ever. We came out the other side of this chaos knowing we can weather anything. We communicate better. We trust each other more. I'm really fucking happy I married him. I've become friendly with Emma. We get coffee every few weeks. She's teaching me about photography and I'm teaching her about the Chen family dynamics. She needs a guide, they're chaotic. I don't know if we'll ever be super close, but I like her. She's a good person who got caught in an impossible situation. The biggest thing I've learned from all this? Family is messy. Secrets always come out eventually. And sometimes the most beautiful things come from the most chaotic situations. A year ago, I was panicking over messages on a laptop, convinced my fiancé was cheating with our